Lunch and Learn series. So, we're hitting the road already, because this is the March magazine, so we're heading into hopefully warmer months here. And so we've been partnering a lot with the libraries, the Bellevue Community Center, and the Neville, and having presenters and a meal, donation-based meals that are coming along with it. So we have topics like container gardening, we have how do you make the most of your local seasonal produce. We have presentations on emerging fraud and scams, because that's a huge topic that people are very interested in. And in light of the veterans discussion here, we have our veterans lunch, where we have a gentleman who's going to be talking about his experience as a Vietnam veteran, the day in the life, that we provide the meal, and it's very well attended and exciting. We also have our leprechaun lunch coming up, so we've been doing heritage meals every month, as you know. This last month, we had a Ukrainian meal. We had Kobza there, we had Ukrainian chefs come and for making borscht and all kinds of fun stuff. That was lovely. We're getting 150 to 200 people that are coming to this event. You're retired for these meals. I know, right?
That's awesome.
It's been
great.
really good.
You're making it look good for people like myself look forward to when I can, when I'm part of the evenings. And I'll be like, Monday will be fantastic.
That's great. But it's been awesome because we have a presentation about a particular cultural group that's in our community, but then also celebrated over food. And it's been wildly successful, and all too much so, to the point where we have to start taking reservations because we can't even fit everybody in the building. So I think what's great about that is our community's hungry, I mean, pun intended, to get together and break bread across the table from people with different backgrounds and different cultural experiences, and they want to hear about it.
Absolutely.
So it's a good message to get to people that's very really exciting. And then on page 29, just quickly want to highlight that in March is March for Meals. So it's National Nutrition Month. As you know, we're in the food security business. We do about 500 to 600 meals a day to people who are isolated, homebound, and have food security issues. So we're doing lots of nutrition education, but then also really want to celebrate on March 22nd the importance of nutrition and highlight the impact that government programs have on people's food security. As you know, we're all very concerned about the food share changes and the work requirements, and folks who are in that gap who are going to have to be working really hard to maintain access to food. It also, we have seen as a result the fear of people dropping out of the program and looking for food resources. And so that puts pressure on another program. It doesn't necessarily mean we've solved the programs, people are still hungry, is my point. And I know Eric and his team have huge issues in terms of being able to process those applications and the new requirements that go with them. So we're here to be advocates for people, but of course there isn't additional money to that. So we have to find ways to still be impactful. Our data sheet still is there. You can see even just in the month of January alone, there was 3,000 contacts with customers coming in looking for information and assistance and support. I mean, in 1 month. And the education and outreach events we're doing, the number of people we're reaching, and in 1 month we're serving around 10,000 meals in 1 month. So again, important foundational programs that aren't just fun and games, but are also helping to solve helping to impact some of the challenges that people are facing.
But like harmonica for beginners.
You know what?
Sign
And you want to know what? That was started by an MCW student who came to us as a doctor in residence who was doing primary research on lung capacity. I'm not kidding you. So if you combine harmonicas, you're thinking something fun that is for folks getting socially together, and they're actually using their lungs to learn how to do harmonica. She did some primary research, and it was flooded again. Who would have thought people would sign up? They did a concert, right? Ukulele is coming in second as a very.
I was gonna say, are they still doing that one?
And they're with ukulele too.
I love it.
So that, again, it's about isolation, loneliness,
I need to
connection, music. Hey,
Uh,
unless you're the person whose office is right next to the practice room,
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's a little bit distracting, but we're still there. We make the best of it. We make the best of it. Yeah.
Shout out to my father and mother-in-law who are on page 6 of
Ooh,
this month.
yes.
Their story is in here. My father-in-law has Parkinson's and dementia, and the story kind of goes through what her struggles have been like with her for being a caregiver. It's really touching. He's such a great guy. So if you have time, read his story, and we're so grateful for the ADRC. They really helped our family out tremendously, and continue to with like Mud Club and all of it. So if anyone out there has questions about the Parkinson's area, the dementia area of that, I'd be more than happy to help answer any questions, or just lend an ear to whatever questions you might have or concerns. So point you in some good direction. So
And what we love about telling the story is not only lovely and celebratory, but it is also that people can see themselves in it.
yeah,
Right? When somebody says, go and seek out about Parkinson's, that's not me, or that's not what's happening. When it's somebody's family story, then you're like, that's kind of what I'm living with. Oh, this isn't so bad, I will go and talk with him, or get help, or I can relate. Right? We have to normalize it, because if other people.
Absolutely. And, just because it's my favorite thing, do we know when the first food truck?
We're already lining up. It's not on, it will be soon on the website, but it will be in March.
Okay. For, the people in the audience who may not know, our ADRC food truck is the only, right?
Accessible.
The only wheelchair accessible food truck in the state of Wisconsin.
Awesome.
And we all help make that happen.
We're not on the road.
It's so cool.
It is very
And whenever I see them, I help with that. It's those little things that you're just like, yes. Took a while to wrap. We had our
It sure
trials
did.
with it, but
We did.
once we had it,
Because nobody's done it before that way, they didn't know how to do it. So,
Yeah.
it's a customization, let's put it that way.
so, well, we look forward to it. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
All the
Spring's
food
right
truck
around.
running, food truck rallies, you know?
Food truck rallies will be out there.
Spring is coming.
Anything else for Director Christensen? Otherwise, I will take a motion to receive and place on file the director's report for the ADRC.
Motion to place in place.
Motion by Supervisor McDonald, that was second for fun.
Thank you very much. I'll be looking forward to a different song next
I'll
time.
second for fun. And then all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alright, perfect, thank you. Alright, moving next to the director's report of Health and Human Services.
Yes,
It just, it
Came
feels
to you?
right. Nope, this was last month's too, it stuck with me. I might have been quieter last
I guess I forgot.
month. You won't now.
Wow, I will not now.
That's your new walk-up piece.
You have to earn these things.
Well, and Mr. Evans is to grace us,
Well,
so.
the show goes on.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll start, you want me to start with the executive director report? The
Sure.
financial report, so there was a report in the packet, and this will kind of weave together a little bit. But in my report, I noted that Assembly Bill 387, Senate Bill 390 were still working their way through the process, which this relates to the food share administrative funding gap, as well as quality assurance needs at the state level, and at the Income Maintenance Consortium level. And the Assembly did pass a bill last week, it'll now go to the Senate in March, but it makes, basically the state request would go forward, and the counties and the consortiums would also get the request that they have as well to maintain the administrative funding. So that's what's going to the Senate. This is what the counties have been requesting, this is what the WCA and WICSA had all been behind. These basically just keep us whole for the next budget period through 27, through the state budget of June 27. We'll have to deal with this all again, through that state budget process. We'll have to see what that looks like. But it's good news, it's very good news. So there are a few other pieces around that they added as far as amendments or changes. Those will have to go through a different process. We'll have to see what the Senate does with those as well. So I don't know what the status of those things will be after March. But I think the funding at least seems to be on the right track now, after a lot of inactivity. So So that's good to see that we'll be able to continue the service levels that we have, hopefully keep that error rate where it's not an issue for funding benefits, because if the state has to fund benefits, we don't have that figured out how that would happen in terms of consortiums, or if there'd be any sort of state county share in that. So if we can avoid all of that with a good error rate, which we believe we can, this puts us on path. So that's the big change, with Medicaid and or SNAP program that is also on the agenda too. The funding seems to be on the right track. So yay. I wanted to touch on something else in my report that I think it's important that we discuss and start laying the foundation for. And that's on the second page, I referenced the supplemental community resources. And this, in the budget for 26, we had changed how our contracted services were presented, and we had the supplemental community resources line, which is approximately $582,000. I called attention to that during the budget process, and these are different. Some of them are contracts, but they're really like grants that have been historically awarded year after year after year. So, example, we went through the teen parenting program, RFP, that had been a historical year after year after year. Other things are some funding that goes, as an example, not changing anything, just giving examples, Golden House. So there's money that we get from marriage licenses that goes there, as well as matched with additional county levy that goes there. Another example is the new community shelter. There's a certain amount that's given to them, it's $40,000 approximately every year. It's been done for probably 15 years at this point. So all these funds have been set aside throughout the budget processes for a number of years, and every once in a while we revisit one or two. But those are decisions made by previous committees and boards. So the idea with this was this has been just awarded dollars. Is when it makes sense to look at this on an annual basis and look at organizations that might need these funds as well. We go through an application process similar to what we did with the ARPA money a few years ago. So that's what this is proposing, is that we'll get the application going, and we would have people apply for this bucket of money, and then we decide what gets awarded through the committee process, and you'd be able to weigh in on that, and we'd see what goes forward and what changes and what maybe doesn't go forward. I recognize that there's gonna be some disruption with that, I know it's not going to be an easy process, but I think we have to look at these decisions that were made possibly 15 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, and just say, is this still the same thing we want to do? And does it fit with the priorities of the department as well as what we have for priorities?
Supervisor Lund.
So, as far as you know, we're still gonna have that pot of money.
As far as I know.
For the next budget.
Yes,
Okay.
that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, because why go through the thing if we're not gonna have the money, because people are not gonna be happy about that.
I am going with the assumption that money is going to still be there.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay,
I'm going with that.
that's good.
When are you planning on starting that process?
I'd like to get the application drafted in the next 1 to 2 months, and then make sure that, what we have to talk about is, what do we wanna identify as priorities within that application process? We just put out we can't just say apply for money. It has to be something that aligns with
Human services.
human services, the services that we're required to provide by statute, ways that this supports the services we're trying to do. In a little while, we'll talk about one that's an ARPA funded project. But things that align, like mental health related, substance use related, children, youth and families, those are the things that we need to look at. Is it a child abuse and neglect prevention program, for example? We might want to fund that. If it's something that's recreational, you might say that doesn't fit with our priorities. So I think it's going to be based on the priorities that we have to decide. So next month, I think we have to have that conversation.
Okay.
I just
Alright.
want to lay the foundation.
Thank you.
Starting now.
Appreciate it.
A little foreshadowing. I also touched on the report that the financial reports are in the packet right now. Eric Johnson had retired from his position on February 2nd. We do not have that position filled, so we're kind of doing a split with that. We have Kristen Madison, who's one of our supervisors, working with the community services side of things. I'm working with the community treatment center side of things in that team, the supervisors out there. So we kind of split that to make it a manageable workload for Kristen, and we are going to continue that until we get the position filled. And we're still keeping it open, so if you know somebody that wants to be a Health and Human Services Finance Manager, it's posted on the website. We'd be very much interested in talking to them, so check that out and tell all your friends. What else? The financial, we'll get to the financial reports later. Well, financial reports list doesn't include them. We don't have much as far as year-to-date. It's early in the year. At this point, it takes roughly 2 months for turnaround on claims to be paid, source provision, claim, and payment. So we're not really seeing much. The personnel costs are included as reference. We are still working on the closeout of 2025. I really wanted to see what that looks like. There is a deficit. I'm just not sure what the deficit's going to look like at this point. Most of that is related to placements, whether it's children and youth placements has been a big driver of that. There's some mental health placements that are driving some of that. But I just want to see what the year looks like, and I can't really say for sure right now. It's very much a moving, as I would say, a moving target. But that's because we have to get all those claims in, and we won't have the final claims in until March. So we're still 30 days out. But I'm meeting with the Kristen tomorrow, finance supervisor, and we're going to go over kind of where we're at as of right now, what are things looking like.
So when we have that report then for next month?
Next month, we should have a better picture of what that looks like.
Thank you.
So you're better prepared for what might be thrown.
The other question, are we getting any help from the state at all with funding for any of those things? Since it is a mandated programs?
As of right now, no.
Okay.
Nothing's really changed. Probably you'll see decreases, over time for certain areas. Some of it's.
Decrease in funding or decrease
There's
in-
some decreases in funding at the state level that we're going to see.
Okay.
So that, right now we're in that state budget cycle where things are set through 27,
Right.
through mid-27, and I guess when that next budget cycle is coming up, we'll have to see what the position is that the county association wants to take. If any of these things are priorities, we've asked historically for crisis services to be fully funded, that didn't happen. We've asked for community support programs to be fully funded, that didn't happen. I don't know that we're gonna ask for those things again, I'm not really sure. We asked for birth to 3 to be funded.
Fully funded, yeah.
That didn't happen. So we keep asking and we keep trying, but I think there's just so many priorities at the state level that something has to give it.
Absolutely.
But no changes right now, but on the horizon, there's probably some changes.
Thank you.
Right. I have a question on 9B, the child protection.
We're not there yet.
What?
We're still on 8.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we just jumped in.
Wow.
Jumping ahead.
Working ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're still on director.
I apologize.
I have nothing else in my report.
All right, well then I will take a motion to receive and place on file so we can get to Supervisor McDonald.
I will make that motion.
All right, motion by Supervisor Borchard,
Second.
second by Supervisor McDonald, to receive and place on file the director's report for Health and Human Services. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, on to number 9, statistical reports.
Make motion to approve.
All right, motion by Supervisor Lund,
Second.
second by Supervisor Borchard, any discussion?
9B.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Indeed.
I had a question about the CPS response time. That's
Sure.
square in the bottom right-hand corner, about 79% of our response times are 5 days out.
That's the category, yes.
Why are they 5 days out for children?
So these are the state standards. So the state standards have response times. Right now, there's 2 categories. We're a pilot county, so we just have 2. 24 hours or 5 days. So 24 hours are like, there's an active situation, or there's something that's immediate, there's observable injuries, certain conditions of maltreatment as access to the child.
Yeah.
Right now, there's something happening.
911.
Yes,
Okay.
it's very much
Yeah.
you need to go now in coordination with law enforcement often.
Yeah, the 5 days is like a different kind of
Correct.
level.
There's an allegation, but there's no immediate safety threat, so we have to screen all these on access and decide, is there an immediate safety threat that needs to be controlled? Or are there other conditions that are being controlled right now within the family system or our community, and we don't need to have that response immediately? But those are the state standards, it's just 5 and 24. The state's been looking at these response times for a few years. every state's a little bit different. We used to have 3 response time levels. One was same day, it was same day, 24 hours or 5 days. And that same day, 24 hours didn't make a lot of sense, it was the same thing. So that's why they went to piloting these 24 and 5.
Okay, so it's not dismal that 79% are in that category, that just means they're less serious things that
I mean,
perhaps.
right, it means
They're
that.
not-
Could be serious.
It could be serious, but it's not a 911.
Right, they're not immediate
Okay.
safety issues. Now, 5 days means that that's a screening decision, and that's the assignment. It doesn't mean that we have to wait 5 days. Staff sometimes go out sooner than 5 days. So there's potential that a discussion occurs with the supervisor, or we get a follow-up call where we learn some new information, and maybe we said 5 days, but we're actually gonna go within 3 or 2. But just basically the state is saying you have to go within 5 days.
Supervisor Lund?
So does staff generally go out with the sheriff's deputy?
Not always.
They assess the situation before.
Yes.
Okay.
And we go with all jurisdictions, could be sheriff's office, could be city of Green Bay,
Yeah.
Toronto. We work with all the different law enforcement jurisdictions because they're investigating a lot of these situations as well.
Yeah.
Alright, any other questions? Alright, so
I'm gonna make, an amendment.
On your motion?
On my motion, to take 9A, I, B and C together.
I'll second that.
second, Supervisor Lund, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So then we make another motion then to approve.
Yeah, motion
Yeah.
to approve the request for new, contract.
No, not yet, just for not,
For
do
number
them
nine.
all together.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll make the motion to put them all together.
Yeah, receive and place on file, 9, alright. Any other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, alright, moving on to 10.
Motion to approve the.
Motion to approve by Supervisor Lund,
I'll second.
second by Supervisor Borchard. I do have a question. Looking through the new contracted and contract providers, I don't see new cap on the list. Do we have any contracts with them?
Yes, we do. We have 2 contracts with NECAP currently. One is in public health with sexually transmitted infection testing. It's a very small contract. And then we have another one with community services for housing, that's for the treatment courts. So they aren't on this list because these are services that are being provided to specific clients or consumers. Those programs are more program level, so that's where, like, you don't see our contract on here for NetSmart Technologies, which would be our electronic health record system, for example. So these are the provider, direct provider purchase of service contracts. UCAP provides this bulk option for us with these housing units. So we've been working with them since 2019, and they rented 4 units. Over time it's been 3 or 4, depends on the market, what they can get for successful rents. And those are for the treatment court participants, specifically mental health court, primarily to go into and out of those units for a safe, stable housing option. So they've been working with us for approximately 7 years providing those services. We pay them a certain amount based on unit cost per month, and then there's an administrative amount, which is because they have to maintain leases, monitor the tenants. They would have to, there's a damage fund that they have set aside if there are damages to the units. So they basically managed the units for us, and that was the RFP that was put out, and they were the successful bidder at that time.
Supervisor Lund?
So, I mean, so these are the amounts that we, put forward for the year, right?
These amounts on the
Yeah.
contract list?
Yeah, cause you got like 50,000 to the first one, so we plan on spending not to exceed 50,000.
We put a cap on it, but it doesn't mean they're guaranteed that amount.
Yeah,
It's just like.
but they're gonna bill us monthly, and we'll pay them
Based on service.
based on the service that, so, yeah. So this is the budget, but these aren't the bills.
No, these are estimates, or we have to have a contract in place when they're over $10,000, and then we just put a dollar amount based on an estimate, but it's not a guarantee, and it's not, that they're going to actually get $50,000, they might get $40,000.
Yeah, it depends on the usage.
Right.
Okay.
So yes, we have a small contract with UCAP, that total is right around $51,000 total for those housing units.
How much?
51,000
Oh, that's.
altogether. And the unit, because we also cap those units at a certain rental amount, we started with the HUD fair market rents. And then went a little bit above that because HUD fair market rents are typically difficult to get landlords to commit to, so it's a small amount on top of that, but we know what those rental amounts are because we see the leases, they have to provide that to us. So that's all managed with them. But that's currently the contract we have besides the STI contract, which is small.
Alright, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, on to action items, number 11, administration 2025 and 2026 carry forward request.
Motion approved.
Second. Alright, motion by Supervisor Lund, second by Supervisor Borchard, any discussion? Anything you wanna add?
It's just a project we've been wanting to get to. Our courtroom of the CTC is kind of unutilized space at this point. We don't do in-person court hearings out there anymore. That's all done virtually, which is a great service for the consumer as well as all the people that need to attend court hearings. We just haven't been able to get to this project, with all the other projects going on, because we want to use that space, for staff and for conference rooms if we get to that point. But right now, it's in need of attention and we just can't get to it.
Alright, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 12, HHS budget adjustment request 25-087, any increase in expense with the offsetting increase in revenue. Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Supervisor Borchard,
Second.
second by Supervisor McDonald, any questions on it? Anything you wanna add?
Just want to add that it's 100% state federal funding for the Comprehensive Community Services Program. We make estimates on what we will be spending in CCS at the beginning of the year, to pay on enrollment and needs, services, rates. That will all change over time, but we have to recognize the additional revenue. If we don't, we're going to have difficulty closing out.
Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, number 13, HHS discussion and possible action, a resolution regarding table of organization change, wait, that's the wrong one. Update, Jacobson.
No, you're
So
on
that's
track.
right, okay,
You're on
14,
track.
You're on
went a little
13.
early, alright, discussion, possible action, resolution regarding table of organization change for the Health and Human Services Department, Community Services Division, Children, Youth, and Families, unit wage changes 26-037R. Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Supervisor Borchard, I'll second. Any discussion? Anything to add?
So what, I'd just like you to be informed.
I will, that's why,
In case you get
that's
questions.
why we asked.
Yes, so in case you get questions. So one of our processes for wage changes is to do a wage adjustment. Those are all internal. We take what the table of org had as a wage rate and we just move people up and start the domino effect down. If we start to see opportunities where that jump maybe is large or there's other opportunities, instead of doing one significant change, what we do is through this process, which is much more involved, we would actually spread that across different positions. So that's what we're doing here, is just going across all the supervisors as a team. We had 2 positions turnover, which changed the wage rates for the people in those positions that are currently in them. And we took those dollars that were a difference plus some other funds that we had available through other adjustments, and we just basically said across the whole team, we're gonna make these changes. That's what's before you tonight, just basically leveling off a couple of different positions based on tenure in the position, as well as, like I said, avoiding a big jump for one and nothing for the rest. So it's just
Sounds good.
equalizing.
Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, number 14, budget adjustment request, 26-010, any allocation from a department's fund balance. Motion to approve. Motion by Supervisor Borchard,
Second.
second by Supervisor McDonald. The floor is yours.
And I'm talking to you, motion in a second.
I know, that's why.
Don't say a word. So we had, you had, with those ARPA funds in the past, done the nonprofit grant awards. And a lot of that money, of course, was distributed, claims came in, it was taken care of. We stopped that in 2024. We asked organizations many times, give us your final claims, we can do all that, so we did all that end of, period closeout work. And then the funds were then put into that lost revenue project, and that's where they stayed. We had a request come forward from Foster the Village which they do support foster parents, kinship parents, other things that are next to children, youth, and families. And they had a request for approximately $55,000, which includes car seats that they would distribute to foster parents as well as families, hygiene items that would be provided to foster parents if they are in need, clothing for foster kids coming into care. This would also apply to kinship, we need to work with them on that. Some infrastructure pieces to their building where staff could then access the building 24/7 much easier, and through secure key fobs where they could then get in to get those supplies if they needed to place a child that's in the middle of the night, for example. Some other equipment for their facility, washer and dryer. So all, and some scholarships for summer camp was another request too. So all told, it ended up being about $55,000. I talked with the administration about this. They still had tracked that lost revenue and said that there is sufficient funds, which is what's here to cover a lot of their requests, not all of it, but pretty much most of the requests. So administration has been able to identify those funds. We would transfer them in, and then we transfer them out to grant.
Chad, do you have anything to add?
No, this uses the remaining portion of the money that was set aside in lost revenue for community grants. If you don't use this up, it's just gonna lapse, and then it'll probably go to another committee. So this is your last chance at using your lost revenue dollars. And the reason why this isn't going to the executive committee is because those dollars are specifically allocated for your decision and approval. And even though you change it, it doesn't have to go to the executive committee. That's just one of the rare exceptions right now that we're working through. But there is funds available.
Thank you. That was my other question. Well, that answered that.
This organization does specifically work with our foster parents, our licensed foster parents. Actually, kinship providers will be licensed more now with some new rules as well. So they really do work right alongside us with the children going into care as well as the people who provide care. So it's very much aligned with the department and work closely with them.
Chad?
And then again, I'm trying not to talk. The total amount, so this is one of the last funding sources we have to provide to actual nonprofits that we don't contract with. So this is kind of the end, because Henry's going to say it doesn't meet the public person factor and things like this. So this is pretty much it. And then we'll providing executive committee a larger overview of what our lost revenue is and highlight amount.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
All right, so we have motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, perfect. Communications, there are none. I just want to remind everybody, Give Big Green Bay is going on right now, so feel free to go on and donate. I will not single out any which one, they're all really great, but if you need suggestions, you can message me. Other than that, good luck to all the Big Green Bay people. Goes till noon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Lund, second by Supervisor Borchardt, all signify by saying bye.
Bye.
Aye.